Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Money Man. I'm with Shakes Rampedi, Oliver Keohane, the MoneyBoy. Hey, guys, how you doing?
Well, I'm good, and how are you, Kevin?
Well, my bets are looking good in the European Euro, so uh, I'm doing okay. Doing okay. Ollie?
I'm just enjoying the Euros, so I'm doing okay.
Shakes, anybody surprise you?
Yeah, no, I mean the Euros obviously have kicked off with a bang, and I think there've been some really good results. There've been some surprising results, but the team that surprised me the most played actually last night, and I would have to say that's Italy. I think in the manner they dealt with Switzerland and as well as Turkey, they dealt with them with class, clean sheets. It looked comfortable.
So did Wales, though.
Yeah, I mean, but Wales drew the first game. They drew the first game in the Euros. But as for
Yep.
Italy, they won.
Shakes, would you say you're surprised though? Because when we chatted, you guys both said, I think we all said initially that Italy was sort of our dark horse. You know, missed out on the 2019 World Cup, first big tournament back, and they were 27 games unbeaten before. So I don't know if you were surprised. I think you
Well,
called it in that show that they would do well.
Italy won't stay a dark horse for long. You know, it's somebody it's you just notice.
Yeah.
They won't, and their odds have shrunk. Yeah.
Look, you are right in the sense that we did call it in the sense that Italy would probably top the group. They've been unbeaten for so long, but it was just the maturity in which how they handled those games. I mean, it's not like Switzerland and Turkey are light waters, but they made them look like light waters, and it's sort of like, okay, if France are like the heavy favorites, then I don't think Italy is far behind in terms of
Yeah.
just from what I've seen from the two games. So I'd say the first couple of games, they're the ones that surprised me in a pleasant way. And there's no superstars per se. Everybody works together.
Yeah, no, they're playing nice football. I think, for me, the sides that have stood out just after the first round of playing nice football, I really enjoyed watching Portugal play. Just love to see Ronaldo come. I mean, I'm a Messi fan, but just love to see him do what only a player like Ronaldo really does. And guys argued, they were like, oh, you got to realize, like, legs are tired in the last 4 minutes. It's like easy for that to happen. It's not easy to concede 3 goals in the last 6 minutes of a game. And then France, Germany, we also did say Germany aren't, you wrote a thing saying you don't really buy into the hype of Germany's Latvian win. We spoke about it before the Euro started. Not quite the side that they have been historically, and I thought even though the game ended 1-0 to France, France were in control of that game. That I could only watch the first half, but that whole first half, it's just Germany looked like they were floundering a bit when they had the ball, didn't look as sure, and France just have this axis and they just control it. So, I think France will continue to be really a team to watch, but Portugal also very interesting and obviously quite excited for their game against Germany.
Yeah, absolutely. Shakes, what do you think?
Yeah, no, I think I definitely agree in what he said. I was very impressed with how France played against Germany, also in the way that they just handled that game. Don't get me wrong, Germany had their chances, but I mean, France could have scored about probably 3-4 goals as well. And they didn't even look like they were in gear 6. It looked like they were only still in gear 3 or 4, maybe perhaps. And that was up against Germany. Let's also highlight that as well. No walkovers as well. We haven't seen the best of France as yet. And I tweeted this and I said the only people who are going to stop France from not winning this European Championships is themselves, because they just look so complete. In midfield, they've got Pogba and Kante, who just run the midfield, and then the front three, of course, with Griezmann and Mbappe, and as well as Benzema, they just look unstoppable. Defensively, they were good, and yeah, I just don't think anyone's going to stop them.
And they have a reasonably united camp, unlike the other World Cups. Yeah.
Apparently, there was I don't know if you saw all the Giroud and Mbappe stuff. Giroud came on and scored 2 goals. Who were they playing in their warm-up game?
Wales.
Yeah, and then he scored.
Yeah, France were playing a warm-up game. I also can't necessarily remember the warm-up game per se, but Giroud came on, scored 2 goals, And in the game that he was sort of speaking towards Mbappe, saying something to him. And then after the game, he mentioned to say that he was sort of criticizing his teammates a little bit in terms of how he's not getting the ball the way that he would have liked to get it. And people suggested that maybe he's talking about Mbappe. And then Mbappe, just before the game against Germany, and he just before the game was like, I don't think Giroud should be talking in public like that, like, against his teammates. And I was like, oh, okay. So that's why Oliver's referring to the fact that I don't know if you guys saw the comments with the United camp that they have.
Yeah, I think it's again one of those things quite sensationalized by the media though. Before it's you look at the Springboks during the Rugby World Cup. After the Japanese game, there was that big thing where the guys, the bomb squad, had that photo, and then Franz Steyn like pushed Makazole Mapimpi away because what he was saying to him was like, "This is just for the bit, like the reserves we're taking," and like joked with him, and then it came out like racist, doesn't want to include, and then they've spoken in that documentary about how there's just these like factions trying to break down a team that's doing well. Probably the same thing with France is, it's one guy just having a little bit of a gripe with his teammates on the day, and then the media's like, cool, let's tear this giant of a side down, with an argument between two guys that don't actually have an issue.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it's the way of the sporting world,
Well, it's the way of humanity. Everybody wants to tear people down.
Yeah.
So we've got France who've gone into 4.35 favoritism. We did back France. I did back France.
Yeah.
Italy were my dark horse. I think they've gone down 3. They're 6.6. And then you got England, and then fourth Belgium. They just don't get any respect, eh? Shakes, what do you think?
Oh, Belgium don't get respect?
Well, it's 7-1. If you were given a lot of money, who would you bet it on? Italy, England, or Belgium? With better odds for Belgium.
If I only had that money, I would. You're right. I mean, Italy, I was impressed with. I must highlight again, but I would probably give it to Belgium. I think Belgium as well, in the way that they played. You're right. There is sort of a respect that they deserve a little bit more. But I think the world rankings gives them that respect because they're ranked number 1 in the world. So it gives them that respect. I don't know about the bookmakers giving them the same amount of respect as well.
Well, they clearly don't, eh?
It's funny how England's just one of those teams that just sits there like...
I think because you've got enough idiots that'll bet on it.
Yeah, I mean, you did say that the UK football market, betting market's obviously the biggest, in the world, so that's coming home.
Yeah. Any team disappoint you in terms of you were expecting a bit more so far?
Okay, so now we're talking disappointments. A team that has disappointed me, I'm going to go with an unlikely choice, and that is Turkey for me.
No, come on, that's the obvious choice, Jakes.
I don't know if people watch Turkey building up to this tournament. Like
they got panel beaten by Wales. Yeah,
they definitely did. But I'm just saying, before the tournament even started, I mean, there was a game that they hammered Netherlands. There was a game where, in sort of the qualifiers, they were doing so well, and I was so excited to see Hakan Koglagu and as well as there's the striker Burak Yilmaz, who just won the French Ligue 1 with Lille, and I was thinking like, wow, okay, this side, and then there's Soyuncu who plays for Leicester. I'm thinking that we're not going to be such a walkover, but in both games, they've played 2 games, they've conceded 5 goals, and on top of that, they've set back most of, sort of, you would say, in games. I've been just really disappointed. I was expecting a lot more from them, and they've been the team that I think personally have really disappointed me the most so far.
I thought Poland was pretty disappointing in their sort of red card loss to Slovakia. For starters, just like you got to keep 11 guys on the field. Otherwise, in any sport, I'm a big sort of I'm big anti-red cards and kind of movements towards a booking system rather than eliminating a player, because I think it just takes away from a spectacle. But aside from that, they shouldn't have let themselves get red carded, and then to go down 2-1 when you've got Robin Lewandowski in your team, that should be 2 goals a game. Like I was disappointed. I think a lot of guys a lot of my mates had Poland in their multi bets to win at like fairly low odds. I think 1.7 or something like that. And yeah, that sort of messed it up for a lot of guys. Luckily, I didn't bet on that one. Just had a bit of a bad feeling about it. But yeah, I think that's disappointing from Poland. for their opening. It just makes the rest of this group stage so much tougher, you know.
Yeah, no, it's it'll be an interesting.
Is a team that disappointed you, Kevin?
Oh, without a shadow of a doubt, Turkey. You know, just they were a flop. So you nailed that one right on. Wales.
How fucking Wales go?
Thought you said something different.
Yeah, I did too. I was like, so anyway, yeah, how far can Wales go further?
Depends how low Gareth Bale can get that that hit on.
Yeah, look, I mean, I won't lie. I think Gareth Bale also stepped up yesterday in two ways. Firstly, with the penalty miss, and then the two assists that he created for both games. I think it's kind of pretty obvious. You're starting to see who are sort of the key players for Wales if they're going to go forward with Gareth Bale and Daniel James and Aaron Ramsey. They're mostly the ones that are sort of have to create something. I don't think they go very far. Honestly, I don't think they go very far. I think they'll get out of the group. I think them getting a draw and as well as having to beat Turkey, I think 4 points should be good enough. I don't think they beat Italy, but I will be watching how they lose to Italy. I think that's the most important to sort of.
I think Italy will rest a few players, and it won't be the Italian side that you're playing there. Yeah. So I would be careful with that one.
I don't see this Euros going any differently. No, I was just going to say, I don't see this Euros going any differently to the history of the tournament where your guys that are making it into the semi-final, there's one team in there out of the four that you just would not have expected, you know, and it's not one of the big six. So whether that's Wales like it was last time, or because I think it was Wales last time in the they made it to the semis, did they not?
Yeah.
So I mean,
lost to Portugal.
Yes, I think Portugal. I heard a stat during the game that Portugal was the only team to win the Euros, having only won one game within 90 minutes during their whole build up to the final, which is. That just goes to show, you know, football primarily as a sport too, just how unpredictable it is, you know.
Yeah, no. It's,
So according to Oliver's stat, Portugal have already won the Euros because they've already won their first game in 90 minutes.
Another interesting one was England is the team to have played the most games in a European Championship without ever making it to the final, without ever winning a final. I think it was 31 games or something.
And it's not going to be easy for them to go into that next round because they'll be playing either Portugal, Germany, or Belgium. Unlikely, but
no. Yeah, Portugal, Germany, or Belgium. You're right in saying that. And yeah, I think England need that challenge, eh? They need to step up, man. At some point, they can't keep avoiding teams. I think they need to step up at some point.
You couldn't get a bigger semi-final than you couldn't get a bigger round 16 match than England versus Germany. Wouldn't that be great?
Yeah. I love that. I really love that. I remember the game in 2010 World Cup, and I think Germany won 4-1. I just will never forget that game against Germany and England. It was brilliant, and the rivalry that's behind it as well. I actually can't wait for that game if it happens that way. Obviously, we have a big clash with Portugal and Germany taking place this weekend, so I think that's going to be a huge factor in terms of who will potentially draw England as well in the next round.
Well, exciting games coming up.
There are. I look forward to chatting to you guys next week. Thanks, Ollie, for coming in.
Thanks, Kev.
Thanks, Shakes.
Cheers,
Great
Shakes.
to see you.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, man.